Absolutely.
Well, hello and welcome. Hi, Tina.
Hey,
Hey, let's welcome everyone back to our Subconscious Speaks. My name is Don Robert,
I'm Tina Orlando.
and together we are
Tina Orlando.
and Dawn. Sometimes it might just be Tina and I that get to laugh at that, but if you've been here and watched a few episodes, I feel like we've let you in on the joke.
If you know,
Raise
you
your
know.
hand and send us a note if you haven't.
Click like.
Yeah, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Who you're listening to, looking at, depending on what station you're on. We're both award-winning, top of our class graduates that are clinical hypnotherapists with, of course, honors from the Hypnosis Motivation Institute here in Tarzana, California. Tina and I live in the same area of Southern California, but yeah, as a crow flies about 30 miles, but any given traffic pattern could be 45 to an hour and a half. So, and here
True.
on our channel, we like to kind of have this natural flow of a conversation that's been born out of 4.5 years of these conversations that we thought, we should record these and share them with people because
Somebody might like it.
yeah, you might like it, you might get something out of it, it might give you an idea of what to do next in your life. And so we kind of cover everything conscious and subconscious and everything in between. It's all fair game. We're
Hmm.
doing really well. I think only three George Carlin type swear words have been said. So we've been pretty clean. So,
It's effort.
every week we're going to drop new episodes. And so we encourage you that if you're interested in either of us or working with us or hiring us or having a conversation with us, you can go to our websites. They'll be in the notes for the episodes. Tina's website is her name, TinaOrlandoHypnosis.com. And mine is the numbers 360 hypnotherapy.com. Great way to get a hold of us and look into our experiences. And so today we invite you to kind of come along for the ride. The today's topic is going to be about finding your purpose.
Mm.
Ooh, it's a pretty big
It's big.
topic, right?
Yeah.
Um, so feel free to like this video, follow us, subscribe for more. Feel free to comment, ask questions, make suggestions. We're open to it. We're
Share.
grateful you're here with us. And here we go. Okay, Tina,
Oh,
finding your purpose.
it's like asking where's Waldo,
It
right?
sounds pretty big, doesn't it?
It is. I think
Yeah.
your purpose is huge.
Yeah.
You'd
Should
have
I
to know
should
who you
I
are.
should I peel back the curtain a little and let people in on how this kind of happens for us?
Sure.
All right. So it's been happening for like it's literally been happening for the last 4.5 years that
Hmm.
one of us will have something happen with either a client at school, in our personal life, or a memory, or something happens that brings something to the surface,
Yes.
and then it's a phone call. Hey, can you talk? And then like 3 hours later, we're like,
Gotta
okay, I'm
go.
hungry. I'm gonna go make some food, or like, whatever. We move on to our next task in life. And so this kind of happened. I had my own moment this past week where I got in touch with my purpose. And it so it brought up, and I did this training on Tuesday for a corporate sales organization, and we talked about your why and how to get in touch with that, and I introduced this saying. Have I ever shared with you the so that? Have I shared that
No.
with you? I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget it. So, Tina,
Yes.
boy, we can go so many different directions with this conversation.
Hmm.
I mean, it'd be easy for me to tell my story again. I wanna hear from you though. I try to be respectful and share the the microphone, so to speak. So when I put this topic out there for us to talk about today, what came to mind?
Um, Purpose. Well, that for me, it's ever changing. Like it's always evolving. It's always turning in from one thing to the next.
Hmm.
Um, but the constant between all of them is what makes me feel alive. What what can I create? What can I do um, that gives me that joy? And you may not have to do it forever. Maybe this is just, some things are just for the time and then you
Mm,
can move through them, but they all connect into each other. Like, is it creative? Is it changing lives? Is it, I mean, many years ago in a different life, I wanted to be a photographer. And what I gathered out of all of that was I see things differently. I wanted the world to see how I saw things, and so I create art to do that. Um, and then that kind of morphed into, well, wait a minute, I do really see things differently. Why is that? Life takes its turns and you end up somewhere else. And that's great. But it was filling a purpose, a joy, a bliss, it creates um it creates passion,
mm,
you know, and it's not,
yeah.
this flighty type of passion. It's, in your soul, you want to make a difference. This is
Hmm.
your joy. This is where you go with that. What are
Your
you
happy
doing?
place. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So is that, thank you for that. That's a great place to start. I really appreciate the commentary around the time. Like I wrote down the word timeline, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
I go back to my early, I've had dreams in multiple stages of my early childhood, adulthood, and now even into my 60s. I'm continuing to find, and is it find or is it clarify? Right. So part of the evolution of the purpose is, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So you don't, most people don't come out of the womb and they're like, I'm going to be a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm going to help people and that's going to be my purpose. And, it's through this trial and error called life.
Evolution. Mm-hmm.
Huh?
This thing, yes, yes, we
This
are
thing
trying
called
to get
life.
through
Yeah.
this thing called life. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
I think it evolves. You know,
100%.
I,
Yes.
you know, I don't
I
think
think
we.
that the experience I had this week leads to the experiences that I'll have next week and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. And it feels like the perspective, the path starts to narrow a little.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
narrow in opportunities, but narrow in that which really makes you happy and feeds your
Mhm.
soul. And I think the phrase that came out of my mouth with you this week is it didn't feel like work.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
there's that old saying that if you are lucky enough to do what you love, you'll
mhm.
never work a day in your life.
That's
And
right.
that's it's I think I was talking to, we don't only just talk on our podcast, we do talk, but it's hard because I'm like, oh, I want to save that thought for like
I
the
know,
podcast, right? It's
I
so
know.
trippy now.
Here's a thought. Do you
Yeah,
think that comes out of living in a positive, like glass is half full, versus a negative? Because I think that when we dip down into the negative aspects of our life, we cannot get to our true compass pointing north. I think we get into a different timeline or time, or different life's purpose, so to say,
I
so to
think you
speak.
have to be willing to fail, have to be willing to grow and learn. Now, so it all starts with the beginning of a mindset, which is, that which you put your attention to, right? Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And we may have said that a few times on here before, but
Mm-hmm.
like I want to hear more about the trends because I know you've had some interesting careers in your lifetime and still do some of it. And so um it's interesting that I don't know if we've ever talked about the artist thing because as some listeners know, I spent a little time in Hollywood pursuing the acting dream. It started in Florida, but
Mhm.
um that evolves, right? But that wasn't the first dream. The first dream. So it's really, is it dreams where it starts first? Like when you're a kid and you're thinking like, oh, I want to be a fireman or you're not, that's not your purpose. I think, I think what I'd like, I feels like we're talking about is kind of the groundwork that can lead you to finding your purpose. I think that's
Mhm.
maybe why people might be tuning in today is like, yeah, because I don't know about you, but a lot of people are feeling like they did back in COVID with, this pending election and the state of affairs in our world. And, they're just kind of looking for purpose in general. And then I've attracted a couple of early graduates in college that are looking for some direction and they have a thought of maybe what they want to do next. And so helping kind of guide people is something I love to do. So I'm curious, are you seeing any of that in your world with clients, people that are
I
feeling a little lost?
yeah, I see a lot of people that feel lost. Um, oddly, I get the darker subjects where, that's just how it works for me. I get the darker ones. Meaning the hard, the suppressed feelings. I have a lot of people that are feeling that doom of
Mhm.
culture, or not culture, but the culture that's going on right now with elections and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I get a lot of that. As for the purpose driven, was that Wayne Dyer? Purpose driven life. Um, Sorry, this is how it goes
Possibly.
though.
I don't know that one.
I think it's Wayne Dyer,
Dire.
Dyer. Yeah, purpose driven life, I believe. When I do have the younger crowd, like my younger clients, they are searching for their place, not so much their purpose, but just to feel a place, which I find very interesting. Like, I think it's because they think the world's already planned out for them. Like they're in college or, they've already decided something
Yeah.
and they end up finding out that that may not be what they end up doing
I,
because
I
it's
think
not their.
I think you're right. I think there's this collective kind of like you're supposed to know what you're going to do after you graduate high school or
It's
college,
such
and
a
that is
joke.
so
Sorry.
far from the truth. You might know what you want to do now,
Yeah.
and it might tie into your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
but if you haven't even brought the this kind of thinking of finding your purpose into your conscious thoughts, how could you possibly figure out where you want to go, right? But sometimes it's what's in front of you, what feels like the right next step.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are the anomalies, right? Where it's
We don't want to discount that. There are
there are the
definitely
anomalies that know they
the
want to,
outliers of people that kind of
they
know they want to be
want
a
to play the
nurse, but
guitar, like,
their
and that's
parents,
what they do.
yeah,
Kurt Cobain, like whoever,
right.
um, and that's just what they're driven to do. But the rest of us, mere mortals, may not know what we're going to do.
The average
Um,
Joe and average Debbie. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
may not know. And you might start off, oh, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to be a nurse. And then, you become a nurse and you realize, wow, I might be saving lives, but this isn't what I truly want to do. And that's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. You don't have to save lives. There's somebody else that'll take your place. I promise. Follow your purpose.
Now
Um,
more than ever, so many people in the last decade or two have been doing what has commonly be referred to as pivoting.
Pivot,
Pivot.
pivot. Yeah,
There was a
yeah.
moving company ad that I saw because I restarted watching Friends the other day, and I don't know why because my computer's listening to me, but there was an ad for a moving company that was no need to pivot. That was so clever.
No need.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
So there's this, like, what's right in front of you is, so the young guy that I'm working with has an idea of like what he'd like to do now. That's not, doesn't have to anywhere be close to the thing he does for the rest of his life.
Nope.
Early
No.
20s. Yeah.
No. No.
But doing that role that he's pursuing,
Hmm.
I've given him a task to come up with a SMART goal around it, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and time bound, so that
Hmm.
we can then have our next conversation of, okay, if this is what you think the next thing is that you want to do, go for it, but come up with a plan and execute,
Hmm.
right? Because
That's great.
a thought without action is a dream, which is okay to have.
We're good to have dreams.
It's it's where it all starts. Vision, dreams, what, right? Whatever you hold for yourself, you can pursue it. Now more than, there's so many millionaires that just do this, that they got this thing.
No.
$1 million machine right here, right? That
Hmm.
are just breaking down the walls and the barriers of what the old traditional way of, you go to school for 8 years, become a doctor. And I mean, that's still, please, people still keep doing that because we need you,
Absolutely.
but that's
There's
not
room
the
for
only
everybody.
path to purpose,
No.
right?
No. No. And that may not be your purpose forever. That's when it's fascinating, is when, somebody goes to school for 8 years and then comes out of school and goes, I don't really want to do that.
You would
Now what?
think, yeah, like we've talked about watching and pausing in other episodes.
Yeah,
So if you don't know what we're talking about, I think there is an episode called the pause, right?
there is. Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
So if you're kind of actively paying attention to how you feel and show up, and I think last week we talked about this a little bit with this inner child work and becoming aware of that which pushes and pulls and directs you, right? Because those,
Hmm.
whatever's inside of you that's kind of trapped, um once you get a little healing, you get some freedom to roam.
Hmm.
You can kind of get free from your own limiting beliefs. That's where you can start to step towards purpose. For me, it's been a long road, but
Yep.
I'm okay with it. It's been, I've had a good time along the way. The view's been
But
pretty good.
yeah,
There's been some
yeah.
incredible experiences along the way. So what
You
about
know,
you?
me personally,
Yeah, you personally.
it took me 40 years to figure it out.
40. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
good stretch of
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What
It
was
took
your,
me
so was artist your first dream ever?
um first dream ever. Yeah, yeah.
Really? Little girl drawing and painting and no?
Wanted to be an actress.
Oh, okay, well, okay,
Look
that's
at so
not the artist that you said earlier.
well, it kind of morphed.
I am listening.
I know. I wanted to be an actress, and
Huh. Do
yeah,
I
and
know
then
this
I
about you?
no, you don't.
How do I not
No.
know this about you, having been one myself?
Um because it was a moment that
In the
my
1600 hours that we've talked, it's never come up.
oh well, I can't show my whole
Hilarious.
hand.
All right.
Um
Where are you
I
living at
mean,
the time? How old are you when this happens?
I was 4. I was
Four?
4 in Northern California,
Okay.
and we were out at a restaurant, my parents and I, and my godparents, and there was a live band, and they were playing music. And I walked over and I asked them if they could play an Elvis song because I was a huge Elvis fan.
Okay.
Yeah. And the man says to me, "Well, if I play Elvis, you have to dance to Elvis." And I said, "Oh,
Okay.
okay, I can
Four.
dance to
Four
Elvis."
years old.
4.
Are you
four
at
years
some
old.
karaoke bar at 4 with
No,
your?
it was a piano, and there was a three, like there was a horn and drums, and it was a band. It was a band. There's a band. So yeah, and then my dad wanders, looks to see where I'm at, comes over and talks to the gentleman, and the man says, "Well, what Elvis song?" And I said an Elvis song. He goes, "I don't really know that one." I said, "Okay, how about Blue Suede Shoes?" And he said, "Okay." And my dad then puts me up on the piano, and I'm going to dance on top of the piano at 4 years old. This is very strange. This
Lordy.
is this is like 1970 something, right? So take it easy. And I was totally up for it because I love it. And oddly, there's a gentleman sitting in the corner, and he walks over and asks my parents if I am in the business. And my mother
All
immediately
right.
says
There it
no.
is. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Star
And he said,
Search.
well, he's like, no, it's more than Star Search. He said, oh, I know there's a movie that would be perfect for her, blah, 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 in 1970 something. And so my mother says no, my father says no, like they are not going to let me be in part of that world, blah, blah, blah. They exchange phone numbers, addresses, the whole thing. Um, Needless to say, he tried many times. My mother was like, no, she's not going to be a part of that world. Um, but there were a few auditions that he wanted me to go on, and my parents said
Huh.
no. So, yeah, that was
So
the first dream.
that was the first
Yeah,
dream, but you didn't get to take any action or follow through on pursuing it.
no, no.
Wow. All right.
So, which is
Interesting.
fine.
Yeah, no,
It's
of course it's fine. It's just interesting because I was thinking and writing while you were talking. I wrote a note that like I think if people are really kind of tuning in and wondering when are we going to get to how to get to finding your purpose, it starts with the dream state of visualize or imagine or picturing yourself doing something that brings you
hmm
joy.
hmm
So this sounds like it brought you joy. And so naturally, your inclination was to pursue it, but
Well,
you
of course.
didn't.
Well, would step back even further. Like there was there was nothing stopping me. Like, you see people, oh no, I might fail, I might this, I might that,
Right,
the shoulda, woulda, couldas. I was 4. I walked up to that man and asked him if he would play Elvis without
right.
any fear, without any consequence, nothing. And he said yes.
Yeah.
That's how you find your purpose. I'm not going to go off and be a dancer now. I'm just saying this is how it happens. It's like, when a baby learns to walk, he falls down. If you don't have a reaction, he just gets back up. When you
Right.
react and the baby cries because it's a
Yeah.
learned response, right? We know this story. But
Right.
the same as for the fearlessness of, I'm just going to go ask him. Like, there was nothing stopping me. I was a very precocious 4 year old. It's actually
Yeah.
three and a half. But okay. So yeah, that's
Very,
the point. That's the point of the story.
very interesting to me as I'm witnessing your experience and hearing you, and I'm kind of imagining along with you this time, and then I'm thinking simultaneously about my first dream of playing in the NFL, and it was attached to my father being proud of me at an early age, right? It's a big theme. I think I talked about this in our last
Yeah.
episode about this father-son thing. And I'm curious, is that for you, was that where did that come from? This desire to get up on the table and dance and like be this little entertainer. Was it something from that you learned in your family or saw, or was it something on TV that you saw and you went, I want to do that? Like inside, right? Because that's where it starts. Inside, we have a moment, and then those
It
can
was
be
Elvis.
several moments, but what?
It was Elvis.
Okay, but
Sorry.
Elvis
No,
what?
no, no, no. It was me watching Elvis in 1968.
Ah,
I
okay.
can remember sitting there watching him play this guitar, and he's in, these people, and then I saw other movies where he was dancing, and I just
Ah, okay.
loved it. I loved
All
it. I
right.
would dance for hours listening to
Yeah.
Elvis as a 3 year
Okay.
old, as a
All
4 year
right.
old. so that's where it came from. I mean, my mother and father were not performers by any means. Um,
I think I'm
so
leaning towards it's kind of nurture or nature. It doesn't have
mhm.
to exclusively be either one. Um, yeah, pretty
No, neither
cool.
one of my parents were like that at all. At all.
Okay.
They were literally, my mother was shocked that I walked over there. I don't know why. I was very precocious, but
Yeah.
um,
So the first
so
dream to be a pro football player, I was not allowed to play Pop Warner
okay.
until I may have annoyingly cried my way into getting my way. I don't
Yeah.
mean like physically crying, but like whining about it. At least my sister, of course, remembers it a certain way, and I don't. My brother did, but I apparently wasn't allowed to, and I don't think I even started playing tackle organized football until junior high school because I went to a school that had a team. I think I was in seventh and eighth grade, and so I that's when I first started to play, and yeah. So I want to go past this early. Thank you for sharing with me this all of us this early experience. So then, what's the next dream? So that dream gets, I hate to say crushed pretty early, but it gets snuffed out pretty quickly. What is the evolution of the dream state, the what's the next kind of thing that leads you towards the next thing? Like what can you remember? I'm trying to paint a picture for the listeners of that it's a process. It's not a
It is a
formula
process.
where you plug in a number for X and then you plug in an event for Y that equals your purpose. It's not
Yeah,
that clean.
it's never that clean. I mean, for some people it is that clean, right? But if you're one of those people that maybe has your dreams crushed, um, and maybe it's continuous for a really long time, you have to keep going because that whole the whole process is to find the things that bring you joy, what
Yes.
it is that you really want to do. Now, I'm not going to go out and be a dancer today. That's not going to happen. Um, it's there were other dreams that got crushed along the way, and that's fine. Um, you have to find something that resonates with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what speaks to you,
Yes.
whether it's, and it may not be so cut and dry. It might be a lot of trial and error. There is no rule book or
A
handbook
lot
to
of
life.
trial and error. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, there were a lot of things. I was, like I said, 40 before I walked into this arena
Yeah.
of, this um, this type of help,
Self-help, vocational,
self-help.
avocational, self-help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay. Um, I love that last piece there. So if you're practicing the watching and you're paying attention and you're checking in with yourself and seeing how you actually feel about something, not a traumatic event that then gets triggered by something else, and now you're living off of those stored emotions trapped somewhere in your body, but more so about when you get the chills or your
Mhm.
hair like it feels like you've just rubbed a balloon on your hair, a helium
Yeah.
balloon, right? Or you just kind of get that. I call it gratitude. Like it's a moment of just being completely at peace and just filled with gratitude for the moment that has just happened that has awakened my spirit, which then has led me to the next step and the next step and the next step and so on and so forth.
When I can tell if it's the right thing, it's
Yeah.
when you forget time, when you're in that state where it's that
Yes.
slow state where you forget what
Yeah.
time it is. You didn't realize that you just spent, you know, um,
4 hours
90,
yesterday working on something that didn't feel like work.
right. That's when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and I when I used to take photography, like I would lose hours, just taking photos, in a dark room or in a studio creating some type of image. And it would, 2, 3 hours would go by, and that was great. But that really wasn't fulfilling enough. There was an
Mhm.
evolution of me, so the evolution of what I wanted to do changed.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Did
yeah.
anyone tell you it was okay to do that, to change your mind and direction? And like, did you get support somewhere in that, or did that come from within?
That came from within. There was never, um, there was never any of
Yeah, even though tough
that.
mom and loving father, like
They
the
had their flaws.
directional, huh?
They had their flaws.
Yes, of course. No, but I'm
Right.
saying like dad never pointed something out and said, you know, you should try, or like I've tried to do my best to not do that with my children, to support them in their paths and their efforts and wherever they are in that moment. I support them for what they're in now, with the guise of it's going to change again for sure. Typically, right? We're not talking about the outliers that want to be a nurse or want to be a fireman. Like, I don't know why those are the two careers that come to mind, but they're usually significant ones that kids latch onto
Right.
and then want to carry out that dream of being the fireman that climbed into their house and saved them, or a TV show that they watch, like Emergency 51 or One Adam 12.
Mhm.
I'm
Cagney and
going
Lacey.
back. Huh?
Um, Cagney and Lacey, like fire, like police
Yeah,
officers, the two
sure.
first female police
Yeah,
officers on TV. Um,
yeah. So
no,
going along the path and paying attention, right? This kind of I'm real big on the watching thing and paying attention to how you're feeling from moment to moment about things. And so um I think you also have to honor what's inside.
mhm,
I don't think my collective experience is that people will if it gets hard or feels uphill, that people
yeah,
have a tendency to go the easier, softer way, or they look for it typically, right?
sure.
And that you could easily point back to inner child work. You could point to whatever has happened in their past that maybe feels like kind of cement shoes that just kind
Mhm.
of keeps people stuck. And then I think you mentioned, right, it's fear of the
Yes,
unknown.
fear of
Yeah,
the
that's
unknown.
most of what holds people back is fear, typically,
Fear of the unknown, and whatever they're doing is serving
or they think it is.
them. It's serving them. It doesn't mean it's serving them positively.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
it's one of those. But um, yeah, the fear of the unknown or fear of failure.
yeah. Those are two big fears.
Those are the ones.
Yep.
Fear of failure. What if I fail? Well, then you learned something. I mean, it's feedback. There's never failure. It's only feedback.
Ah, there it is.
My favorite statement is
Yeah. Now, which
no
Joe
failure.
gets credit for that?
Cabanella.
Cabanella does. We giving Joe credit for that?
I'm
All
giving it
right.
to
I mean, I
him.
know that's where I've heard it from as
Yeah, I
well.
never heard that from Dispenza. I'm not
I think
saying
he
that he
even
didn't
said it
say
to
that
me
he.
in a session. Like, he was one of my first
Mm,
mentors that I worked with, and he's like, What's this failure?"
yeah, what is that? I
Yeah,
don't know what that is.
it's just
Um,
feedback, and it
yeah.
just a simple reframe. God, he's brilliant.
hmm
Yeah, we got to
Joe
put Joe on the
Tavanella
list. We got to get Joe
Joe
on the.
Tavanella is
Yeah.
definitely brilliant.
Yep.
Um, yeah, he is a funny man like that. He says these wonderful little reframes that they stop you. Um, so,
Deep and effective change is possible. Absolutely.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay. So let's see. So we're talking about, it kind of begins with the dream of XYZ, wherever that comes from, and then
hmm
you're kind of going along in life and just paying attention to the intuitive voice that leads you, right? I believe that the truth lives deep and sound inside of every man, woman, and child. Being able to tap into it and listen to it and then take the appropriate action or inaction once you've gotten clear on something. Like I still remember sitting in the stairwell. Mario at HMI went for the close. I went and met him, and he invited me to go back and fill out the financial aid paperwork because the next one-on-one class was starting, like, literally, I think this was a Friday and it was starting on Monday. And I was like, I need a minute because I've been working on
mm,
this pause thing for a long time because I used to be an overreactor to the umpth degree.
mm,
So I've learned to practice, and I literally walked out of the HMI offices into the stairwell and sat and got quiet and asked for an intuitive thought about whether or not I should do this right now in this
mm,
moment.
mm,
And what was told to me was it's okay to take a minute. And so I did
mm,
not sign up that day. I came home, prayed and meditated on it. I talked to my spiritual friend about it, and it was very clear that this was the action that I was to take. But I do that with big decisions. I check in, and I
mm,
don't just go, you know, I have that
mm.
personality of the like, let's go, right? But so that's been a big part of my process. What would you say has been a big part of your process of kind of this evolution? Because I know you've done a multitude of different things in your life.
Yeah, it's value system for me though. It's, you know, being a mom comes first, and that's what
Mhm.
came first for a long time.
Right.
So everything
Being a
else was,
being a provider. Yeah.
yeah. So everything else came
Yeah.
after that, and everything else was put on hold. And now that they're grown, I had the opportunity to put that value back on myself.
Hmm.
Um, and I then it became what's really important for me. What can I do with all of these things that I've learned?
Yes. The
Um,
collective consciousness of now what?
Now what?
Where do I
What can
go?
I do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where do I go? What do I do? What do I want to do with what I know? Like, after everything I've been through, like
Yeah.
what can I do with it? Because it's just now it's a pile of stuff.
Right.
And, so for me it became about how I could use it all to
Right.
make something better. What
Yeah.
the answer was, I did not know in the moment.
Right.
Um, and then there it was down the street from my house,
Yeah.
literally down the street from my house. And that's, I, I just saw it and I just knew um, that this could be an answer. What the answer was, I didn't know. What the
Sure.
purpose was, all I
Yeah.
knew is that this would help this internal drive that I had going
Right. Yeah.
on. But I didn't have all the answers, and that was okay. I
Yeah.
just knew the end result was I wanted to make a difference somehow. I wanted to help people,
Right.
and I didn't know the road to get there. It was an unseen path at that point.
Pretty cool that, you find this place called HMI and then all of a sudden you've got a path. I mean, they
Yeah,
have a
I had
really solid
I had a
program
path.
of how to educate, inspire, practice, and then prepare to be a working hypnotherapist with a model in place to
Yeah.
support the students to pursue
Mhm.
whatever modality, dream area of expertise that they want to focus on. But it's collectively a school of people, individuals
Mhm.
that I believe have the same kind of dream and joy in their heart of helping others.
Well, that's yes. Um, yes. My initial reason for going to HMI was, I could spend $10,000 sitting in the therapist chair, or I could um, go to this school to learn how to do it
Yeah,
so that somebody else wouldn't have to spend the $10,000 to sit in the therapist chair. Um, yeah. So, I wanted to do something different. I thought, well, maybe it's twofold. So, but the joke is not really a joke. It was kind of a serious statement in my head. Like I could do this. Everything I've learned. Yeah, absolutely. It's a mind body connection.
Interesting, because one of the learnings that I've had in the last kind of 20 or 30 days or so is the knowing of the details of the how you're going to get
Yeah.
someplace. It'll show itself, right? As long as you're
Yep.
still willing to kind of take a look and see what's going on and listening and pausing and trusting yourself that you're being guided in the right
Hmm.
direction, and then you take the right next step, and then all of a sudden, you're doing something that fills your heart.
Well, you got to know your outcome, but I didn't know that then.
Yeah,
I didn't. So I was walking into that blind, but that is
right.
exactly what I did. Just like as that 4 year old, I just walked up and
Yeah,
did it. That's just, I just walked up and asked them to play a song. Like, I don't know
right.
why there's all these other people sitting in this restaurant having dinner, but they're interrupting
That's
my Elvis show.
that's
Like,
funny.
just,
That's
that's
funny.
really what was going on.
What a scene to picture. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was so, and this was the same. Like, I just walked in and did it. The how and all of those things didn't come into play for me. I just, this is what I'm gonna do,
Yeah.
and it was
Okay.
enough.
Okay. I selfishly I want to know, like I had a moment pre HMI, like that led me to go talk to HMI that happened. I'm curious. I don't know that if I know yours. Like
One
what
significant moment.
just well, typically it is a moment that gets kind of anchored into your mind about, okay, I'll lead the witness and share mine. So I've been in the
Okay.
self-help world for a long time, right? Being a sponsor in a 12-step program and working with others. And I became a life coach and worked with others. I went into corporate America and was like coaching people on how to succeed,
Right.
right? So there was this built-in kind of, and I was actually in college to pursue my degree in psychology. And when life interrupted, of course, right? And I chased the dream and moved to Hollywood. But there was this kind of moment where I had this experience with hypnosis by watching a recording on YouTube.
Hmm.
And I was like, I just had this light bulb moment where I was like, I could really help people with their belief system, because that's been something that I've struggled with my whole life. Is, we talked about this in the dark and the light, the yin and the yang episode, right? That there's like some heavy thinking and experiences that kind of live in this body that aren't all released, but boy, we're making progress, man. Um,
Hmm.
and so there was a moment where I was like, I could be a hypnotherapist.
Hmm.
It would give me a vehicle, because even as a licensed marriage family therapist, which was one of the early kind of
Hmm.
collegiate dreams, that's 6 years of school and then
Yeah.
2,000 hours of pro bono work before you then
Hmm. Yes.
can sit for and get a license. So
Mhm.
that was my moment. Did you have any kind of a hypno moment?
I did. I did.
I know you did. I just can't remember it.
I was in I had went to see a hypnotherapist.
Ah.
I couldn't get through a lot of trauma. And
Mm.
I think I had 4 sessions with her. And I walked out one day and I went, wow, that shit works.
There's an episode on that.
I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Like there were so many little things that, and I couldn't collectively remember like really accurately what she was saying in those
Mm.
moments, but I knew, like I could hear it, but it wasn't something at the forefront, right? I'm
Right.
like, how the hell is she doing that? And I didn't see anything like on her walls or anything that led me to, I just
Interesting.
Googled.
Yeah.
Um, and then what the weird thing was is I lived down the street from there, right? And it's on the freeway. The HMI sign
You
is
can
on the
see a
freeway.
sign on the freeway. That's
It's
right.
on the freeway. And
Yeah.
so I'm on my way home and I went, oh, wait a minute. Let me see what that is. I got home. I Googled it. 5 minutes later, I'm on the phone with Mario making an appointment. He's like, "You can come today," and I'm like, I can't do it today, but I can do it tomorrow." And I walked in, and there was absolutely no hesitation, absolutely
Signed
none.
up that right on the spot.
On the spot, knew it like I knew my name. And I because of the experience I had, and fast forward 2 years, and I'm in a case conference, and there she is, the hypnotherapist. Uh-huh.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Are we
And
going to name names or no?
um Ava Evans.
Okay.
She
Thank you,
she
Ava.
yeah, she used to sit on the board of directors at HMI, and I did not know that.
Ah, oh,
And
gee.
yeah. So then
Or
she
an
sends me
Illa.
a message, and she sends me, a message, and she's like, "I had no idea," and I'm like, "Well, I should have sent you a thank you note. I'm really sorry." um, but she was, "I'm glad to see that you're doing so well." But that is the
Nice.
moment that
Very cool.
when all of my trauma accumulative, and she just flipped it
Yeah.
into, oh, the world isn't gray. There's green, there's grass, there's flowers. Look at that. I can see now.
Yeah.
Um, so that's how it happened.
That's awesome.
And it wasn't the first time, but
Yeah.
it's always been in the background of my life in some weird way. Um, you know, like even as a kid, there were a few, things that I experienced that were very hypnotherapy type of work.
Hmm.
And I guess it's always been there.
I just remembered the first dream wasn't pro football,
Oh, look at that.
magician.
There you go. But
I
we're not
literally started
magicians.
do I got a magic kit for Christmas and I got a cape and a hat and I started doing tricks for my family and friends and my thing was at the end I'd be like, "Thank you."
I mean, everybody wants to put it there, right? They want hypnotherapy to be that magic.
Yeah.
And it is magical, but it's not magic like David Copperfield or
There's
Blaine
no
or
waving
whatever.
of a wand or dangling of a pocket watch.
There's no rabbits, and
No,
people aren't getting cut in half. Like, but it's not that it's not like the movies, it's not like TV shows,
no,
it's
not at
not like
all.
that. But it
Yeah.
is effective. It does
Yeah.
work. I am proof.
I like
I
to
am
tell
here.
people that I'm not a magician that's going to wave a wand and make their XYZ go away, but there is some magic that happens when you
Absolutely.
have you, it's them. I'm
Yeah.
just a tour guide, right? I'm just the one
Yeah.
that's going to shine the light in certain areas and give them suggestions that are coming from them, and in this relaxed state that we call hypnosis, where they're going to be responsible for taking it on or not. And there is
Mhm.
some magic in the ability to change a lifelong negative known association to something new and positive. That's
Yes.
magical. I mean, but that's the
Well,
human
I mean,
body, the
you
body and the
can,
mind.
yes, you can also, alleviate some of those traumas that you're stuck in.
Hmm.
You
Collapse
know, you
those
can,
anchors. Yeah.
you can get enough breathing room to see that, there are flowers outside.
Mm.
The grass is
Breathing room.
green.
I like that. That's nice.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
like that.
And that
Yeah.
is that is what the experience was enough breathing room. When you're
Very nice.
choked up by your own traumas, like you
Yeah.
can't get clear of them,
Yeah.
you can't see through them, and that's life, right? Like everybody has been
Yes.
that had that moment. But that's the benefit of hypnotherapy.
Mm.
But it's not magic.
You
But it
know,
is controversial.
it certainly is. I think there's an episode on that, demystifying.
Mm,
I think it's our most
absolutely.
popular episode that's been, at least on YouTube, that's been watched. That's the easiest place to track,
I
on the
mean,
different channels that we post on. So,
what is it?
uh,
Why? What do you
Why?
think why do you think they are so mystified by it?
Who, people?
Hmm.
Because of media, the
Yeah.
programming. I feel like
Oh,
I'm
right.
shouting a lot today. I don't know why.
You're a little loud. It's okay.
You have to say something, or it's like I like
No,
my
no, I
microphone.
didn't notice it until you said something, but
Oh, of course.
okay.
Yeah. Uh
Yeah,
it's
the programming.
the programming, yeah. So at an early age, we're just kind of programmed. And then it just kind of lives in there and can collect momentum and just get to the point where that's just what you believe and what you know, right? Hence why we call them known associations, because they're yours. They're deep seated in run the show, right? They're the reactors to life, the
Hmm.
autoresponder to life, I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the word though is, it's scary for people when you say hypnotherapy. That's the reaction I've received. We've all seen it.
It's the fear of the
Um,
unknown. Because they don't know it, or they think they do because they saw the movie Get Out and they're scared,
or
crazy,
it's
crazy scared
blasphemy.
about
Yeah.
mind control.
Mind control. It's not mind control. It's
And
not.
then our Rose Bowl memory came up the other day. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Tina
I
and I
did.
got to see her
Coldplay
and Coldplay finally in the Rose Bowl here in California, and it was this unbelievably magical experience. And we had attracted this group of Gen Xers where we were standing on the GA, kind of the whole field was the GA pit. Let's be clear, it was
was
a lot of
fabulous,
people
though.
there, man. Holy moly. Um,
Like
and
80,000
and of
people.
course, right, there were, like most people when you first meet them, they're like, "Oh, what do you do? What do you?" And the
Yeah.
joker of the group, right?
Mm.
He's like, "Well, what do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a hypnotherapist." And what was the first thing out of his mouth?
Are you gonna hypnotize me? You make
You
me walk
make,
like a
make me
chicken?
quack like a duck.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that's, again, it's just like the programming. You're either you've heard of it from a movie, or you've maybe experienced it on a stage performance of hypnosis, that you have this planted kind
Yeah.
of memory of
You
entertainment.
know what? Yeah, okay, but this is what pisses me off is that the idea that you can have mindset and everybody's down with that. You can have meditation, everybody's down with that, or guided imagery. Why is it such a huge leap to hypnosis?
I think it's the control thing. I think that people are worried that you're going to turn them into a zombie and they're going to, uh, do whatever you say. And that's furthest from the truth.
I think it's the projection of the media.
Absolutely.
You know,
100%.
the so because it works, we have to discredit it. That's what I think.
Well, now you're getting over into a discussion around, the medical profession and at large, and pills and
Oh, real
potions and
controversial.
lotions that,
Oh, right.
I just was watching something earlier today about the whole, all the dentists are upset because there's all these new methods to take care of your teeth that don't include root canals and
Right.
drilling and,
Holistic dental.
holistic living.
Yeah. Well, that's
That's
because
what we're
they've been
talking about,
poisoning people for
right?
years,
I don't
right?
need a pill to self-soothe. I can use a visualization and breathing technique to calm myself down.
Which is just another form state of hypnosis, by the way. I'm gonna start
All
pointing it
right.
out from now on.
Yeah. I feel like we're spinning off into another episode. So what would we call this? I mean, we didn't demystified, but like, do we do
I,
another episode on the black eye again? Like, I feel like we've covered this, but it just seems
I,
like
I,
it's
it
not
keeps
going
coming
away.
up.
Huh?
Well, right, it's not going away, but you know what? I don't think ignoring it will go away either.
No,
So I,
I think
I
we got to
think
talk
that,
about it. Yeah.
well, I think we need to point out like how many times it's that you're actually in the hypnotic state. Now that's meditation technically,
Uh-huh.
You're in a hypnotic
Like
state
a
before
guided
sleep,
meditative
after
state.
sleep,
Yep.
guided imagery, like
Yep.
all these things.
Yeah.
You're in these states that they, but yet that's okay because it has a different name. I know, here I am on the soapbox. But
No.
then, but then when you say it's hypnotherapy and it could really help with alleviating some of your emotional pain, everybody wants to go, oh, no, 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 we can't have that. And I'm not sure why. I got a good idea why. But if you're out there wanting to live that holistic life and still see a therapist that says hypnosis doesn't work or hypnotherapy doesn't work, you need to find a therapist. I'm sorry. That's not holistic. And I'm not afraid to say it. So,
And thank God there's more and more psychiatrists, psychologists, and therapists that use a version of imagery in their own practice.
right, right.
And
But I
so
really think it's there's
I'd like to say that it's collectively getting better, but that's where I'm putting my attention to. I still
absolutely it
have the
is.
same conversation with people when I'm in the consultation and they're like, yeah, I'm really open-minded and whatnot, but
But luckily I'm here to tell you
yeah. So
that it's all good. It's
it's
not going to
just
be
part
mind
of
control.
the, yeah. So I wrote down, why does hypnosis get a bad rap? Maybe we can explore that as a continuation from kind of demystifying and
Absolutely.
does it work? And um
Because here's the other thing though, is it's law of attraction, right? It's mindset, it's law of attraction, it's all those things.
it
Hmm.
is. It's
Yes.
really it's most to do with the mind, and I think people get nervous about the control, about the thought of somebody being in their mind, so to speak,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Like
yeah.
they're gonna tell them their ATM pin code or some ridiculousness. But that's the fear of the unknown. So
Mm.
unfortunately for now, we just have to kind of explain it and clarify what the experience is like, what they can expect,
Mhm.
and what the
Yeah.
outcome is. Because really, a lot of people like to ask, well, how much, what do you charge? What do you charge? What do you charge? And I'm like, well, I charge for the result. First of all, I don't charge by the hour. I mean, I have a fee for what is
The time.
considered a 50-minute hour session that runs either 50 minutes or an hour and 10. I'm not watching the clock, but um, it's more about the result provided
Yes.
than you're just like hitting a timer when somebody comes into the office and you're like, I've got seven right behind you. It's way different. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's like, when you start putting a timer on things, that's weird to me. So
all bad. Speaking of
yeah.
timers, we're coming
Look
up
at you.
an hour.
All right.
So I'm gonna put a pin on this before it turns into section 2 of finding your purpose, which is, why does hypnosis get a bad rap? I think we've covered
I
it.
mean,
And I like to think that people are evolving with their thinking
yeah,
around it. There's just too much evidence,
absolutely.
and there's too much research from reputable organizations and like Harvard,
Stanford.
and so it's, if you want to find the right information, it's out there for you. So, all right,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna I'm gonna wrap it up. Are anything in closing?
No.
All
If we,
right.
yeah. No. Nope. Mm, we're
Let
good.
me remind you all that in the body of the posting, whatever channel that you're listening or watching this on, I'm going to provide our websites. There's going to be a new section that I'm going to pin suggested books that we've discussed. I don't think we talked
Yep.
about any with this today. Did you mention? Oh, purpose driven life. Yes, you did. Nice job. Yeah.
Thanks. Way
So
better.
Tina, just so you know, Tina's website is her name, Tina Orlando, Orlando
Just like
Hypnosis,
the city.
all one word.com. And mine is the numbers 360 hypnotherapy. So you can contact us there, and let's get to work. And as always, I will remind you to remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And we encourage and welcome your comments, sharing the episode with somebody that you think might need to hear it, inviting them to follow the channel, and feel free to share. We love your comments, questions, wonderings. You never know. A question or a wondering could turn into a whole episode.
Yes, good.
Thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. And folks, our subconscious is listening. Our subconscious is speaking. That's like I feel like I keep thinking differently.
Because you're in there.
I
You're really
am. I
listening
am
to
in it. I am in overload.
our
I need to like
subconscious
change
speaks.
my, yeah.
The
Uh,
question is, are you listening?
there it is. Nice job, Tina. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.